This video was created to walk you through the EPA process for the Level 7 Senior Investment and Commercial Banking Professional Apprenticeship. In this short video, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what's assessed, how it's assessed, and who carries out the assessment. Hopefully, that will help you feel confident and well prepared for your assessments so that you have a great experience and a positive outcome. DSW is an independent assessment organisation who have been approved by the government and appointed by your employer to carry out endpoint assessment for this standard. Your apprenticeship standard was designed by a group of employers, and they produce the knowledge, skills, and behaviours that they feel somebody needs to demonstrate to be competent in the role of a senior investment and commercial banking professional. Our responsibility as an assessment organisation is to carry out that endpoint assessment and assess you against those knowledge, skills, and behaviours to confirm that you are indeed competent. Your entire endpoint assessment will be carried out by a single assessor who is appointed by DSW, and they will be an expert from your industry and an expert in carrying out workplace vocational assessments. They are there to put you at ease. They aren't there to catch you out in any way. The questions that they ask will be based on the work you have already put forward as part of your portfolio. The grading criteria have been designed by employers. This includes a broad range of organisations who all employ senior investment and commercial banking professionals within their business. You can be assured that these learning outcomes represent the cutting edge of the profession, providing you with the expertise you need to perform at the highest level within your job role and across your industry. There are 66 core learning outcomes in your apprenticeship programme, plus an additional 8 to 11 depending on the route chosen. The routes available are commercial or business banking, investment management, and investment operations. It's these learning outcomes that you're going to be assessed against in your endpoint assessment, so it's vital that you get to know them well. You must pass both assessment methods to achieve a pass or a distinction overall. To pass the work-based project, you must demonstrate the following at pass level: all 17 core learning outcomes, all 3 learning outcomes within the chosen specialist option, and all 9 pass learning outcomes specified for the work-based project. For a distinction in the work-based project, in addition to meeting the pass learning outcomes, you must meet at least 3 of the 5 distinction learning outcomes specified for the work-based project. To pass the panel interview, you must demonstrate the following at pass level: all 49 core learning outcomes, all learning outcomes within the chosen specialist option to be assessed through the panel interview, and all 13 pass learning outcomes specified for the panel interview. For a distinction in the work-based project, in addition to meeting the pass learning outcomes, you must meet at least 5 of the 8 distinction learning outcomes specified for the panel interview. There's a lot more detail in the DSW toolkit, which is available via your training provider. In there, you will find more detailed guidance around what's expected to meet each outcome, how it's assessed, and there are mock resources in there to help you to prepare as well. Your entire endpoint assessment will be based solely on the learning outcomes and pass and distinction learning outcomes listed in the DSW toolkit. Be rest assured that there are no trick questions, and the assessor will do their best to put you at ease. Now we know what is being assessed, let's look at how it will be assessed. We have 2 methods that make up your endpoint assessment. The first is a work-based project, and the second is a panel interview. Both will take place once you have gone through Gateway. We'll start with the work-based project. Prior to starting the project, you will need to complete the project proposal document in the toolkit, outlining the scope, breadth, and objectives of the project and how you intend to approach it. The project proposal should link to all the learning outcomes assessed through the project, including those from the chosen specialism. These are detailed in the project proposal document. Apprentices must use the project proposal to confirm that all required learning outcomes can be met by their project before submitting this for approval. The project proposal should be completed and submitted to DSW prior to any work beginning on the project. Feedback will be provided within 10 working days. You must not start your project until your project proposal has been reviewed by the DSW assessor and feedback has been provided. This is done during the on-programme phase of the apprenticeship. You have up to 4 months after Gateway to complete the project report. If the deadline of 4 months is missed, this will result in a fail of the project and a new project will need to be completed. The project should relate to your chosen specialist option and must include product evidence to validate the account provided in the project report. With the project report, you must also submit the project referencing table to indicate where the project report and supporting evidence meets each of the learning outcomes. The additional past learning outcomes will be met holistically as a result of meeting all of the learning outcomes, so you don't need to provide additional evidence to meet these. If you are aiming to achieve distinction, you must ensure the project report and supporting evidence is sufficient enough to allow you to also demonstrate the distinction criteria. Once the project has been completed, it should be sent to DSW. It will be assessed and feedback will be provided within 5 working days of the assessment taking place. You must pass the work-based project before you are able to progress to the panel interview. We'll now move on to the panel interview. The panel interview is based on your portfolio of evidence. This portfolio will be developed during the on-program period of your apprenticeship. What we're asking for is that you pull together examples of the best pieces of work that you've done during your apprenticeship. You should select your best pieces of evidence to create a showcase portfolio. Your training provider will support you in doing this. There are 2 elements to the portfolio. The first is the apprentice journal. You must record experiences gained through the learning journey and reflect on your development over the apprenticeship period, reviewing the impact of your activities and behaviours on the business and your own team. DSW have provided a template which you may find helpful to use. The second element is your work-based evidence. This should include a range of evidence types such as written work, evidence from small projects, performance reviews, and workplace observations. More examples can be found in the toolkit. In the toolkit, you've also got a referencing table which you must complete. You'll need to look at the work you have done and identify if it maps into the learning outcomes in that referencing table. The referencing table covers all the learning outcomes being covered in the interview, so you'll put evidence in against each one. Once you are ready for Gateway, you'll submit that to DSW electronically, and then our assessor will review your portfolio of evidence and use it to prepare questions for the interview. The panel interview is a structured interview completed online. It takes place between you and a panel consisting of DSW's endpoint assessor, a representative from the employer, likely to be your line manager, and a representative from the apprenticeship training provider, likely to be the skills or talent coach. It is important that everyone on the call ensures that they are in a suitable environment and have read DSW's conditions for live assessment. The training provider and employer's role on the panel is to provide context and clarity for the assessor in relation to the employer's organisation and sector. They will not be involved in delivering the EPA or contributing to the grading decision. The interview will be made up of 18 core questions which will focus on 10 learning outcomes that require further discussion, 1 pass outcome, additional 12 pass outcomes are met holistically, and 7 distinction outcomes, 1 additional distinction outcome is met holistically. There will be between 5 to 8 additional questions depending on the specialist route chosen. The Learning Outcomes Mapping document in the toolkit indicates which of the learning outcomes, pass and distinction outcomes will be covered in the panel interview. You can bring notes into the interview for reference if you need to. The interview is expected to last up to 120 minutes. We've got lots of resources available to help you get ready for your assessments. Your training provider works closely with DSW to understand our requirements when it comes to your endpoint assessment. If there is anything you don't understand, your tutor or coach is your first port of call. They are there to help and support you. Let's end with a few tips which apprentices have found useful in building a strong portfolio. First of all, start early. Build in regular check-in points to review potential evidence as the program progresses rather than waiting until the end. Then pick out the best pieces from what you have collected. You don't want something brilliant to get lost in a mass of evidence, so make sure anything submitted is there for a specific reason. You'll be discussing those pieces of evidence in the interview, so make sure you know them inside out. Use naturally occurring evidence where possible. Evidence which covers real work situations brings your portfolio to life. Familiarize yourself with the pass and distinction criteria and amplification. The key is to really break down pass and distinction criteria and make sure they are being covered fully. Look at the wording. Look at the difference between a distinction and a pass. The command verbs used will indicate the level of depth required, and the amplification document in the toolkit will explain the concepts in more detail. Go through your evidence and see which areas might potentially be weaker. You can use multiple evidence sources to cover one pass descriptor if needed. The most important part is that each descriptor is covered in full. Practice, practice, practice. Mock discussions and presentations are a fantastic way for you to become more comfortable discussing your evidence and for you to make sure you can get all of your points across in the available time. Use the resources in the toolkit and the templates that we provide. If you need anything to be clarified, contact your training provider. I just want to finish by wishing you the best of luck in your endpoint assessment and your career as a senior banking professional. We hope you have a great experience and a positive outcome. Thank you for watching.